Thank you. It's 1:01 p.m. by my watch. So I'm calling the June 8th, 2026 meeting of the Albemarle County Architectural Review Board to order. If you could call the roll, please.
Sure. Mr. Henningsen,
Here.
Mr. Hancock,
Here.
Mr. Stoner,
Here.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Here.
and Mr. Vanderwerf.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Today's meeting is a hybrid meeting. The public may access and participate in the meeting electronically. Instructions for doing so are posted on the Albemarle County website at the Albemarle County calendar. The public has real-time audio-visual access to this meeting over Zoom, and real-time audio access over telephone. Both is provided in the lawfully posted meeting notice. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the county's website calendar. This meeting is a public record and subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. All speakers, when it is your turn to speak, please first state your name for the record. Applicants who are making presentations, note that your presentation is limited to a total of 15 minutes, which you can divide among your team members. Staff will let you know when the 15 minutes are up. If applicants in the meeting room have team members attending virtually who will need to present, please make that known when you come to the podium. Everyone who is participating virtually, please mute your microphone until it is your turn to speak. Do any ARB members have anything to disclose?
No.
No. No. No. Me either. Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment about a project that is not on the agenda for review?
Good afternoon. My name is Neil Williamson with the Free Enterprise Forum. I come before you today as a 18th century idiom. Remember, there's an M at the end of that. In the 18th century, they used horses and buggies to get around, and the saying developed that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, I'm here to be your squeaky wheel. For 24 months, this body, at least 24 months, this body worked on corridor-specific guidelines. For the last 6 months, we've been waiting for staff to finalize those guidelines. I know that they've been promised this summer. When I looked at my calendar, I know meteorologically the summer doesn't start till the 21st of June, but I think when school's out, summer started. So I'm once again coming forward to say, can we please see those guidelines so that we can get them finalized and into your guidelines? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? All right. Would anyone like to pull the minutes off of the consent agenda for the May 26, 2026 ARB meeting? All right. In that case, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
If we could put that to a vote.
Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have 3 regular review items today. The first of which is ARB 2026-9, Airport Road Pump Station and Storage Tank Improvement.
Good afternoon. Subject property is located at 4384 Birkmart Drive and is approximately 524 feet south of Airport Road.
There we go. Sorry about that.
No worries. The ARB recommended approval of the initial site plan to construct a water pump station and storage tanks in 2020. The storage tanks were later removed from the proposal, and with the remaining improvements having limited visibility from the entrance corridor, the final site plan was reviewed and improved by staff in 2021. This proposal is to construct 2 water storage tanks, approximately 75 feet in diameter and 47 feet in height for the existing RWSA pump station, along with associated side improvements on approximately one acre. A special exception is also being requested to reduce the required step back from the northern parcel boundary by 12 feet. As no new buildings or lighting is proposed, this presentation will focus on the visibility of the tanks and the tank material, type, color, finish, and construction method. Based on the applicant's view shed analysis along Airport Road, approximately the upper third of the tanks will be visible from the road. Due to the parcel size and topography, positioning tanks of this size in a manner that eliminates visibility from Airport Road would not be feasible. Given these site constraints, repositioning the tank would have a negligible effect on reducing the visibility of the tank. Consequently, staff does not oppose the request for the special exception. Because the tanks will be visible from the entrance corridor, the material and color used for the tanks will be important. To this point, the applicant has provided information on 3 construction methods for the storage tank: welded steel, bolted steel, and concrete. The bolted steel option would feature visible seams and joints that make the tanks more noticeable in the surrounding context, whereas the welded steel and concrete option would provide a uniform, consistent appearance that could help reduce visual impacts. Regarding tank maintenance, the applicant provided information on each option. Welded steel tanks need field applied coatings reapplied every 15 to 25 years. Bolted steel tanks have coatings last the life of the tanks, but the exposed bolts and joints may need repairs to prevent leaks. And where concrete tanks don't require exterior coating, though they can be applied with periodic reapplication, and more information is needed on how often the reapplication would be needed. Regarding tank color, the project narrative discussed the selected gray color for the tanks. Lighter colors reflect sunlight and reduce heat absorption. Other tanks within the county have used blue, green, or white, which would, in this context, would stand out against the changing sky and foliage. The proposed medium gray provides a neutral appearance that blends well, expected to blend well with the surroundings, though material samples needed for confirmation. Using the same colors for both the tanks in a low maintenance finish will ensure a consistent appearance. Regarding the major amendment, staff recommends approval with the revisions listed in the staff report. And regarding the special exception, staff recommends no objection to the request to reduce the step back requirement. I'd be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
All right, thanks a lot for the presentation. I guess we'll start with Frank Stoner if you have any questions.
Do we know what the cost differences are between these options?
I'm not aware, but I think I would guess the applicant could provide more
The applicant
information.
know that?
I would assume the applicant would be able to provide more information on the cost differences.
I don't have
between-
any other questions.
All right, Dade?
Sure. No, thank you for the report, Chris, and appreciate the staff determined that the tanks would be visible. Was there any consideration given, or has consideration been given for facilities like this to requiring any large canopy trees or other plantings that might ultimately help screen the top?
Not that comes to mind. I did review a similar tank closer to when I started with the county, but that tank was set back further from the entrance corridor and lower. A concrete tank for a wastewater treatment site, so it didn't end up needing the same landscaping.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Frank?
Sure. Just one question. I feel like I saw it in there, but I don't see it on this drawing. What is the tank height?
Tank height is approximately 47 feet.
47?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
And then the 3 material choices. So the applicant hasn't selected a material
Correct.
or a type. Okay.
Correct.
All right, Tara?
No questions, thank you.
And I don't have any questions either. So does the applicant have a presentation? All right. Is there anyone from the applicant's side who could answer questions, or we could just go right into discussion?
If you would like to come up to the podium and state your name.
Hello, Nate Nickerson with SEH. We're consulting on behalf of Urbana.
All right, thanks. I guess we'll start with Dave. do you have any questions?
Sure, yeah, thank you, Chris. Well, I guess following on my question for staff, would it be feasible to include any large canopy trees at the perimeter of the property?
Due to the elevation on the site, it's a little hard to tell from the 2D plan right there. It actually does sit into a bank. So the addition of trees is possible, but they'd have to be significantly taller than the tank itself to actually screen that. It's a 47-foot tall tank. There is also a cell phone tower just adjacent to that, which is significantly taller. So it'd be very difficult to get trees of that caliber to screen the tank.
And you're speaking of it at the time of planting or at the time of maturity?
At the time of planting.
Planting,
And
okay.
to get trees that would be, as you look at the site, if you go approximately northeast, that's about level. But it starts to go downhill. So where you can see from site 2 and site 3 right there, you would actually have to plant those a little bit lower than the tank. So they'd have to be taller than that 47 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Great, thanks. Frank Stoner?
Yeah, to my question earlier, do you all have a preferred solution? And what are the cost differences?
Yep.
with those
The
big
cost
considerations?
differences between the welded steel and the concrete are fairly similar. We did an analysis looking at a long-term cost as well, recoating and maintenance. I think at this point we are leaning towards the welded steel and the concrete as our two options that have a very similar appearance from the outside. The bolted steel does have a shorter replacement time frame, so it seems less advantageous based on our analysis.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Tara?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
All right.
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Yeah, and I don't have any questions either. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
Nobody online.
All right. In that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we'll start with Tara if you have any comments.
Thanks. I think based on the clarification that the applicant provided, that the welded steel or concrete would be the preferred options. I would agree that those would be, from an aesthetic perspective, the most unobtrusive options. I think while it could be nice to provide additional canopy plantings, given the site constraints and the quantity of existing trees in the near surrounding area, I'm content that they, if they're maintained as sort of neutral as possible, that they have the effect of blending into the landscape. I don't find them to be a particular issue and agree with staff's recommendation.
All right, thanks. Frank Hancock?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with Taro. I think given the distance from the entrance corridor and the nature of this application, really is kind of in the public need realm. I don't really have any objections. And similarly, I think the special exception is, I don't object to that either. So I don't have any additional comments.
All right, thanks. Dade?
Sure, thank you. I'm glad that the applicant's thinking about using welded steel or concrete. I agree with staff's assessment that those would be less visually obtrusive. I do think for this application, for others, the inclusion of canopy trees that could ultimately reach a height that would screen the installation would be a further benefit. I think also I'm mindful that this corridor is potentially developing, and a lot of the foreground for it may ultimately be removed for other development, so that the tanks could become more visually prominent, especially if the development on this corridor is not of significant scale. So like my colleagues, I don't think it's a tremendous visual impact. I think it could be further mitigated and further mitigated into the future development of this area with some further plantings.
All right, thank you. Frank?
Yeah, thanks. I understand Dade's concern. I don't share it with regard to visibility. I think the tanks are far enough off the entrance corridor and are currently shielded by existing mature trees. And I'm not opposed to any of the other requests that the applicant's made. I think it's
All right, thanks. And yeah, I don't really have any concerns about this proposal. I thought the staff recommendations were totally reasonable, and I guess if anybody would like to make a motion, or if we could first look at the recommended motion.
Yes, so the recommendation was for approval with the recommendation as they were outlined in the staff report. Actually, two motions, that would be for the site plan amendment and then the second motion on the special exception.
Guess regarding the conditions on the amendment, does anyone have any tweaks or changes they'd like to see as far as the conditions?
No.
what, explain item 3 and why that's relevant for us.
Or it's just confirmation that, or just private information confirmation that the refinishing would have a similar time period as the one. Is just because they provided information on how often the other types were needed, and just kind of that confirmation that the finish on the concrete tank would last a similar length.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments on the conditions, I'll move for approval of the proposal with the recommendations outlined in the staff report.
I'll second.
All right, if we could put that to a vote.
Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to make a motion on the second the recommendation?
Sure. I'll move to forward a recommendation of no objection to the special exception request to the agent for the site review committee.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we will move on to our second regular review item, which is 2405 Ivy Road, comprehensive sign plan.
Thank you. This is a review of a proposed comprehensive sign plan for the building located at 2405 Ivy Road. The building is located just east of 2415 Ivy Road, and that's a building that a comprehensive sign plan was approved for in 2020 and then amended in 2024. As you know, a comprehensive sign plan is required for all multi-tenant buildings in the entrance corridors. The purpose of the comprehensive sign plan is to allow for signage in a way that maintains a unified appearance across the building. Sign permit applications were received for 2 new businesses in this building earlier this year, so that's why we now need a comprehensive sign plan. The primary issue here, as was identified in the staff report, is that the sign guidelines state that multiple business centers must use a single sign type for coordination, but the proposal allows for unlimited sign types. The proposal does identify form letters and channel letters as preferred types, but again, it allows for unlimited types. Put these images together just to illustrate some of the proposed types. We've got flat cut or form letters in the top row, painted and vinyl letters in the middle row, and illuminated channel letters in the bottom row. The painted and vinyl letters look much the same, and the flat cutout letters look somewhat similar to them. But the channel letters, with their greater depth, their illumination, and potentially a raceway, make that sign type look very different than the others. So to maintain a unified appearance, we're recommending that channel letters not be included in the available wall-mounted sign types. The proposal also includes a projecting sign for the edge of the tower. That, again, is another sign type, but in this case, we think it appears well suited to that particular architectural feature, which itself stands out from the rest of the building, so we can support that sign type in that particular location. We've made a few other recommendations for minor changes to the comprehensive sign plan. Those include an adjustment to the sign area on the side of the building to make sure there's sufficient space above the window, and notes to be added regarding the finish for the light fixture, the background color for the projecting sign, and a note to clarify whether the projecting sign is a panel or a box. So our recommendation is for approval of the comprehensive sign plan with those changes.
All right, thanks a lot for the presentation. I guess we'll see if anyone has any questions, starting with Frank Stoner.
No, thanks. I don't have any questions.
Dave?
No questions, thank you.
Frank?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Margaret.
Tara?
No questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry, Margaret, I don't have any either. Does the applicant have a presentation?
How y'all doing? I'm Ed Brown with Front Runner Signs. We've looked at the review and we are going to remove the channel letters from the CSP and get some clarification on a couple of the signs as been requested by the staff review. So hoping to move forward with it as is. One thing I forgot to mention, I think I sent it to you, was that side one for Grit Coffee, or that's where they are currently. Was that they are proposing an awning in some renderings that they've sent us. We're not working on their sign project, and they're looking to put their sign on the top edge of that awning facade. That would be the only change that's not in what's here currently. That's all I've got.
Thanks. I guess we'll start with Dave if you have any questions for the applicant.
I guess, and does this image depict what's proposed in terms of the awning sign for Grit?
That's what they sent to us, yes. We don't have the specific details of that sign, but that's what they are proposing to have on that entrance. But everything else should be pretty similar to what was there before.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Frank Stoner.
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Tara?
Could I just clarify? So this shows the extruded letters for the Grit awning, a tower or a vertical tower sign, and then are those intended to be vinyl or painted on the?
Most of the ones, I'm not sure how they're doing their letters specifically. The Sugar Bear and the Specialized Insurance will be flat cut letters as what is proposed in here. Okay. I think they're going to follow those same guidelines. They don't have any intentions for the letters to be eliminated or anything like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Frank?
Sorry, this is a question for Margaret. Was this part of your review, this image?
No, this is new information today.
Okay.
They just sent that to me over the week, or they questioned something about it over the weekend, and when I got the staff review, that Grit Coffee's part was something that I had not incorporated into this before. Sorry.
You're just looking at the letters on top of the canopy. Would that meet the requirements or the amendments as it's in?
We would need to make an adjustment to the information that's in the comprehensive sign plan now to allow for that. I think those individual letters in that location on that one canopy on the side, I think that could be fine and would still have a coordinated appearance. I think we'd want to make sure that the wall-mounted signs are all the same type and installed in the same way.
So do you know if the Grit Coffee over the canopy, are those internally lit?
I've asked that question. I have not gotten a reply yet from them. I do not think they're internally lit. I think everything is going to be either exterior illumination or not illuminated.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sure.
All right, and I don't have any questions. Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
Nobody online.
All right. So in that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we'll start with Tara, if you have any comments.
Thanks. I appreciate the clarification on the channel letters. I think um, aligning with staff's recommendation and keeping the palette of possible sign types a little bit narrower is appropriate. As far as the addition of the canopy lettering, I think provided that it's similar to the other types, that it is, the difference is in mounting. I don't see a particular issue with that. And I think, generally speaking, the appearance across the views from the corridor are coordinated, and I don't have any significant issue with them. Thank you.
Thanks. Frank Hancock?
Yeah, I agree with Tara. Just getting that clarification on this new information, and maybe we can work through that in the motion if we need to amend it. But, you know, from what we see, this exhibit and the previous exhibit, it's definitely a unified appearance, and yeah, I think it's appropriate for this corridor.
Right, thanks. Dave?
Thank you. I agree with Taro and Frank. So
Right?
Yes, I agree as well. I do have one technical question, which is, would grid be allowed to have 3 signs?
The quantity doesn't really matter. It's the overall square footage, and that would be reviewed when those permits come in.
That would be 32 square feet?
32 square feet is what we often see for freestanding signs. So this would be, I don't, is it one linear, one?
Linear foot per foot of the frontage. So
It's
they could possibly be allowed those three signs. It would limit the future allowances to the tenants, the way I understand it.
the wall sign area is based on the linear, the length of the business frontage. I don't have those numbers here.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
All right, thanks. I don't really have anything to add. I agree with what's been said, and thought the staff conditions were reasonable. So as long as the applicant is cool with it, then so am I. So if we could take a look at the recommended motion.
So the recommendation was for approval with the revisions that were listed in the staff report. I think you could move for approval with those revisions, plus allowing for the additional mounting type on the side elevation.
Works for me.
Okay. Does anybody have any tweaks? All right, in that case, I'll move to approve the comprehensive sign plan with the following revisions. Or is anything being amended? No, so I move to approve the comprehensive sign plan.
I'll second.
Amended
Just-
as follows.
Just
No.
to repeat, so it's, but with the revisions listed in the report, plus allowing for the additional mounting type on the side elevation.
Okay, plus allowing for the, what you
She
said.
said.
Yeah.
I didn't hear a second. Did
Do
you
we
make
need
the
a-
motion, Mr. Hanson? Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't hear a second. Oh,
I
okay,
seconded.
sorry.
All right, if we could put that to a vote.
All right. Mr. Vanderwerf,
Aye.
Mr. Matsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our third regular review item is ARB 2025-22 Crozet Fast Smart Paint.
I'm sorry, Margaret.
Yeah. Okay. So today we are reviewing a new option for the renovation of the Crozet Fast Mart store. As a reminder, in October of last year, you reviewed the original proposal to revise the exterior of this building. The building's located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Crozet Avenue, Three Notch Road, and Railroad Avenue. And it's in the heart of downtown Crozet and the Crozet National Register Historic District. The primary element of the original proposal was the painting of the red brick walls black. Staff's analysis at that time indicated that painting the walls would be inconsistent with the guidelines for several reasons. Those reasons were outlined in the October staff report, which was linked to the memo for today's meeting. We can review those reasons in detail later if needed. Although staff's recommendation was to not paint the walls, discussion at that meeting suggested that at least some ARB members were open to considering it, but not as presented in October. The ARB's action was to direct the applicant to return with a revised design to be discussed in a work session. That work session occurred in January. 3 options were discussed at that time. They included painting the walls entirely gray, painting the lower wall black and the upper wall gray, and painting the lower wall black and the upper walls a shade of tan. After discussing these options, the ARB directed the applicant to consider alternate coatings, for example, lime wash. The applicant has tested some lime wash samples. They are shown in the image on the left. A revised rendering was also prepared, and it was intended to simulate a light gray wash with some of the darker brick colors showing through. The wash shown in the rendering may correspond best to the samples labeled 1, 4, or 5. However, the applicant was proposing a solid white coating as shown in sample 6. Although we still have concerns about any paint or lime wash application due to maintenance and weathering issues, staff recommends that a light white wash that allows much of the darker brick to show through would be more appropriate. It would be more appropriate than the original black paint proposal and any solid single color coating. Choosing a wash that allows darker brick to show through is important because it maintains more of the texture, color, and pattern of the original red brick, which are ties to the historic architecture of the county. Samples 1, 4, and 5 in Figure 1 look more like a light wash with darker brick showing through than the other samples. The recommendations provided in the October 6th staff report are listed in the upper part of this slide, and I've drafted a motion with conditions if you want to approve one of the paint or lime wash schemes that we've looked at today, and we can come back to these motions after discussion. Happy to try to answer any questions you have.
All right, thanks a lot, Margaret. Guess we'll start with Frank Stoner.
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Dave?
Thank you. No questions.
Right?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Tara?
Thank you, Margaret. No questions.
No questions for me either. So does the applicant have a presentation?
Good afternoon, Eric Warner. Pleasure to be back. I did, after receiving staff's report on last week, I went ahead and asked them my architects to provide a rendering with that light wash with the red brick showing through. And I do have a rendering of what that would look like here. Well, I gotta drag it up there, don't I? Give me 1 second. So that would be the light wash. The distressed look, excuse me, the distressed look. Apologize. And then we had one in between both. This was more like a medium. So what you saw was the full coverage, this one being the medium and the other one being the distressed.
That's it.
All right, thank you. I guess we'll see if anyone has questions. Dave?
Oh, well, first, I'd just like to thank the applicant for responding to the discussion at the last work session. Really appreciate the physical samples and the range of renderings. It's very helpful and very much appreciated. Thank you. Let's see, and we're in questions for the applicant, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe I have any questions, just thank you.
All right, Frank Stoner?
Yeah, do you or your architect have a preference between these two options?
The architect did not. However, our executive team preferred the less distressed option, but we're presenting all to try to get approval so that we can move forward.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
I don't have any other questions.
Tara?
I just want to echo Dave's comments. Thank you for the work. Appreciate it. No questions.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either. I did get a chance to review the samples, and my children were wondering why I walked behind the gas station while I was pumping gas, but I went around and looked. And
Thank you
these
for going.
renderings are super helpful. So thank you for that.
And I don't have any questions, but would echo thanks for
Absolutely.
cohorts expressed. So in that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we'll start with Tara.
Thanks. Margaret, would you mind, do you have the ability to switch to the 4 samples on the, or the 6 samples painted on the inside of the screening area? Like I said earlier, I appreciate the applicant working with us to find a solution to this. Based on the renderings, I think I agree with the applicant that probably a slightly more consistent application of the lime wash is probably the best way to meet in between the desire to show some of the existing brick texture with their preference. So, to that end, I think option number 1 is probably what I find sort of meets the middle of those. Again, I appreciate the applicant making the effort. I think that it will be an appropriate change, signaling the new ownership of the store while also being consistent with some of the historic architecture. And I think that that what the applicant has proposed is acceptable. So thanks for their work, and I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Frank Hancock?
Sure, I don't have much to add. I think I think either are acceptable. I think we've expressed we like the red brick. Our guidelines express we like the red brick, but there is precedent of this on other entrance corridors. Certainly the lime wash over red brick is something in our county, and so it's not completely foreign. Any of these, I think, would be an improvement over the dark kind of the color that we started with. So, yeah, I agree. Thanks to the applicant for working through this.
Thanks. Dade?
Yeah, no, thank you. I agree. All of these options are a dramatic improvement to the opaque paint, and especially to the dark paint that was presented initially. I think I appreciate staff's comment about, I think we were led to this in part by the desire to retain the visibility of the brick detailing and character. And so to the extent that the quote unquote more distressed finishes allow more of that to be present, I think I agree with staff's comment and probably think those are more appropriate. I guess also, Crozet's character, well, especially the adjacent shopping center, many of the finishes in town are somewhat distressed or weathered. And so there's, I don't know, to me, a bit of an alignment in the character of either the medium distressed or the more fully distressed with the sort of overall texture and material palette of the town. So would probably advocate for either of those over this one. but agree this one is a dramatic improvement from the original proposal.
All right, thanks. Frank?
I agree with my cohorts here. I think either distress finish is acceptable to me. I think they both accomplish our objective, which is to show some of the character of the brick. And I don't have any other.
Thank you. I agree. I would support either option that was presented today, and thanks for working with staff and the board to improve things. So if we could take a look at the recommended motion.
So I think the names that were given to today's options were distressed and medium. Is that okay? And it sounds like the board is, at least the majority is okay with either one. Is that, am I understanding that correctly? Okay, great. So I think your motion could be to approve either paint scheme, the distressed option or the medium option, as illustrated in today's presentation from the applicant, with also the 3 items listed at the bottom of this slide.
The applicant know what 2 numbers the distressed and the medium are?
We're going with what was presented by the applicant today.
So it'd be the renderings. That would be the record of today's action.
But do those correlate to any of the numbered samples that were on the wall? 4 and 1. Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
So, I move to approve, should I refer to this language, the application for ARB 2025-00022 with the paint schemes as presented today, indicating option 1 and option 4 from the on-site mock-up, with updates to the design drawings consistent with those options, and the following changes: to eliminate the Nichiha panels, add the standard mechanical equipment note, and to revise the drawing set to show no proposed changes to the existing fuel pump canopy light fixtures.
I'll second.
Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Stoner,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
and Mr. Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will move to our one work session, which is outdoor display ZTA.
Today, we're going to talk about outdoor sales, storage, and display, and our recommended approach for eliminating the special use permit requirement and making it an administrative process in the entrance quarters. I'm going to start with a little background and then discuss our approach for the amendment. Product we're looking for today is to see if you support the approach and hearing comments on alternative ways of proceeding. We'll take the comments received today and develop a draft ordinance for your review. As you know, county code requires a special use permit for outdoor display in the entrance quarters. Applications for outdoor display are reviewed by the Architectural Review Board and Plan Commission, who both make recommendations on the application to the Board of Supervisors, then the board acts on the proposal. Since the establishment of the entrance quarters in 1990, the county has received 56 applications for outdoor display. 50 of those were approved. Of those 50, all were approved with conditions, and over the years, many of those conditions have become standardized. When that standardization happens, it's generally good planning practice to consider incorporating the conditions into the ordinance and eliminating the special use requirement. This allows for more efficient processes while it's compromising the quality of the entrance quarters. You, the PC, and the board have all recognized that these reviews have become standardized. In December of last year, the Board of Supervisors, that is, approved a resolution of intent to amend the ordinance to permit outdoor storage, display, and sales as an administrative process instead of by SP. To make this presentation flow a little better, I'm using the term display moving forward as shorthand for outdoor sales, storage, and display. Outdoor display SPs have been requested for a wide variety of items, including automobiles, plants, gardens, and landscape supplies, equipment, plumbing supplies, power equipment, recreational vehicles, grills, sheds, furniture, and playground equipment. The majority of the applications have been for automobiles. We found that the conditions for approval for vehicle display lots have been the most standardized of the outdoor display SPs. And in many cases, the display lots aren't that different from standard parking lots. In researching the approved applications, we found that the conditions of approval for vehicle display focus on three things: establishing an orderly appearance as viewed from the street, providing sufficient landscaping in and around the display area, and limiting lighting levels. Turning the standard conditions into ordinance language would involve requiring display vehicles to be parked in striped spaces, prohibiting elevation of vehicles, establishing landscaping standards for perimeter and interior parking, and establishing lighting standards. Staff would use the language contained in the approved conditions to develop this language. For example, the lighting standard could be illumination at the ground must not exceed 20-foot candles. I'll stop this presentation or pause here and ask, does this approach seem reasonable for passenger vehicle display? Ask for your feedback here.
All right, I guess we'll start with Frank Stoner.
Yeah, it seems reasonable to me. It makes sense.
A date?
Yeah, I agree. It does seem very reasonable. I guess the one question that's in my mind is for you said there were 56 applications, 50 of which were approved. The 6 that were not, were there particular reasons for those? And if we standardize this, would we be removing any other control that maybe more rightly belongs in zoning for this use? Is there another review, or is it just as of right throughout the whole?
Of those 6 that weren't approved, 4 were withdrawn. I'd have to dig through more to see kind of I think it was just probably not response to comments, and then 2 were denied, but they were denied for reasons unrelated to entrance quarter review.
Okay. And I'm not familiar with the underlying zoning, but is it true that everything in the entrance corridor display for sale is allowed by right based on the underlying use, or the zoning, I guess, governs that?
There are some zoning that would require a special use permit for vehicle display. One that comes by is C1 commercial.
But for example, like in the rural areas of the county, or I guess the residential areas that are not subject to ARB review, does the zoning there allow, or if we, no, okay, thank you. Thanks.
All right, Frank?
I don't have any questions. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Tara?
Yeah, thank you for taking the initiative to revise these. It's appreciated. It makes sense.
Yeah, and I think these make a lot of sense, and I don't have any questions either. All right.
Thank you. I'll move on to the next portion. All right, when we look at display of items other than automobiles, things get more complicated. The display varies greatly in content, in the method displayed, and in general appearance. That variety makes it difficult to establish design criteria to address all possibilities. We think screening is the best approach for achieving appropriate appearance for display of items, what we're calling other than vehicles. We're considering options for the type of screening that can be used, establishing minimum planting standards, establishing fencing standards, and standards for the location and height of display relative to the screening. These are the types of standards that we're considering for screening display of things other than passenger vehicles. They include minimum planting strip, existing vegetation depths, minimum planting size, minimum height of fence and walls, and minimum heights of items within a certain distance of screening. And in the presentation, does this approach seem reasonable for display of items other than passenger vehicles? And do these standards seem reasonable? And are there any others that you would like to see?
I guess we will start with Frank Stoner.
I struggle with this more, in part because of what you've indicated, the nature of what's being displayed varies so much. If for the photo on the lower right corner, if it's display of plant materials, I'm not sure. I feel like we need evergreen trees to obscure the view of that. If it's pots, like the upper right, probably a different story. I think I think it may vary depending on whether it's permanent or temporary. And I think our standards probably should recognize that if it's a limited period of time that the display is going to be there, spring, fall, whatever. Maybe there's a different standard. Those are my comments.
Dade?
Thank you, Chris, for the presentation and the draft conditions. I think I agree with Frank. It is more challenging. I think the other potential challenge that occurs to me is sort of like the different sectional relationships that might exist between some of the displays and the entrance corridor, and whether in all cases the screening would be a sufficient measure. I guess especially, I'm thinking mainly of like locations where the display would be below grade. Yeah, so I agree. It's more challenging because it's not like we know exactly what it is, and certainly automotive dealerships and vehicles fit right into the automotive landscape of the EC. So, but thank you.
All right, Frank?
Yeah, I think what is it, minimum 50 feet? Like, or the planting strip. That seems like a lot. I mean, I think you can accommodate some landscape screening in width that's less than 50 feet. It just seems like it would eat up a lot of frontage or a lot of developable land. And then we probably don't have this information, but of those applications that were approved, how many were for auto, like screening cars? And how many were for like this?
I did need to dig into the
most of them were for like car dealerships, right?
Correct. Yeah, the majority are vehicle or car dealerships.
So I don't know if that's much of those are more questions, but Yeah, maybe it makes sense to have the car piece be part of the zoning ordinance. And if this, especially if we barely ever get anything like this, would be something we would review on a case by case basis.
I will add that, I'll jump to this slide at the bottom. There would be the option for a special exception from the requirements of either category. And a special exception would be a reduction in the process. Because right now, they all need special use permits, but they come in. And if it's, like Frank Stoner was referring to plant materials, that'd be the ability to apply for a special exception, which would be a kind of a reduction in the requirement.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think and put myself in the shoes of the applicant, that trying to, so there isn't this process they have to go to or go through. So in, way, the special exception would be a process they would still have to go through.
Yeah, but currently they would have to go through the special use process, which would go to the Architectural Review Board, Planning Commission, and the Board of Supervisors, and ultimately get approved or denied by the Board of Supervisors, and then apply for whatever initial site plan or amendment to a site plan that they would need. With this, they would skip the special use permit process step, which oftentimes ends up being 6 months to a year of
Yeah.
review.
Understood. Okay. I don't know if that's helpful.
Tara?
Yeah, I think for this one, I mean, if they did the stuff that's written down, I think it would be fine. It does seem that the standard is set pretty far above what I feel like we would normally be okay with in terms of outdoor storage of other materials. I think that while it's appropriate that if it doesn't get an ARB review, the standard should be pretty, I don't know, consistent or like that unobjectionable. I think maybe it's a little bit too far beyond what I would imagine would be typical and reasonable for us to expect of the applicant. I guess I'm wondering if there's a possibility of, so one option would be just to go with Frank Hancock's suggestion to just keep non-automobile uses out, I suppose. I could also see like requirements for the way that the storage is done, that it have an orderly appearance, that it have no more than some certain percentage of linear feet of storage, right? Like if you break up the storage, I feel like that helps both along the front of the building and in the depth of it. I think like variation in the types of items being stored is probably preferred over not. Like I could imagine those types of standards being more appropriate to outdoor storage of materials. Because while I think there are situations where it wouldn't be appropriate on the corridor, my memory of like the Home Depot project, distance also, I think distance often plays a role. Like I don't think that they met any of this standard, but we were mostly okay with it for reasons of screening and distance. So I feel like, to me, something that incorporates considerations of the way that things are stored, and then potentially something that takes into account the distance from the corridor itself, feels to me like it might strike that balance a little bit better.
Right, thanks. And yeah, I agree with what Tara said, but I mean, overall, taking this off of the special use permit track, to me, even if there is a hearing to talk about the storage itself, if you're removing 2 out of 3 potential hearings that an applicant would have to go through. So I'm totally in favor of that. And to me, it seems reasonable. I mean, I do agree with Tara. I think you could relax these proposed conditions and still be kind of where you know, something that would be approved by this board at least under most cases. But I think even with the slightly relaxed conditions, if as long as there's a mechanism for an applicant to appeal or bring it before the board for consideration if they don't want to just do the conditions, I think that's at least to me would be a satisfactory you know, end result. You're still eliminating having to go in front of the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission. So it seems like a much more reasonable proposition. So.
I could see these guidelines varying depending on what corridor we're in. So 29 might have different requirements than 250 West. I don't know how others feel. There's a part of me that sort of resists something this strict, particularly in a corridor like 29, where people locate on 29 to sell things, right? That's the whole point of being there. And everybody's doing it. And the more interest there is from a merchandising standpoint, the more likely people are to stop and shop, which is kind of the goal and it's kind of what they pay for. So 250 West may be different, right? And so I don't know. I would suggest maybe we pause on this and think about it in the context of our corridor specific guidelines.
Good point. I'm agreeable to that.
Other comments?
And I've just pulled up a slide with both kind of concepts and approaches on the display of passenger vehicles and the what we're calling screen requirements of display or storage or sales of items not including passenger vehicles.
Where do tractors and bobcats and
Yeah,
golf
that would
carts
fall
and
in
all passenger
yeah.
vehicles or?
No, that'd fall in the category of items not including. The reason behind that is because even with parked within striped spaces and range, like a parking lot, it's vehicles that you wouldn't typically find in a parking lot. So we're comparing the display of passenger vehicles to kind of a parking lot, which is quite often found in an entrance corridor and if parked in striped parking spots or spaces and not elevated, has a consistent and similar appearance between a display lot and a parking lot. I will add that a lot of there's a different context, but a lot of the numbers with minor tweaks have been or were pulled from the kind of existing screening requirements in the ordinance, unrelated to the entrance corridor, but just kind of a basis or a foundation to start off of.
Was that a comment or?
Was that a comment?
I agree with that.
Yeah. So there's seemingly, and we kind of went in loops and circles, but it seems seemingly the takeaway I've gotten from it seems potentially re-looking at or rethinking or thinking more about the screening requirements, but the kind of the thought or approach on the passenger vehicle. It seemed like the ARB is in agreement.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And nobody wants it to be part of the special use permit process. Like we're all in favor of simplifying and finding a medium between
yeah.
some ARB oversight on the other stuff and passenger vehicles is, I think we're all in agreement on that.
Okay, so with that, I think that we can move forward with coming up with some text to for the code regarding the passenger vehicles, and we will get our team together to review your comments on everything else and see if we can come back with some additional recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we are moving on to other business. The only item is the approval of the May 26, 2026 minutes, but that's gonna be on the consent agenda next time, so we don't even have to fool around with that today. So do any board members or staff have any other items for discussion?
Yes, question to follow up on Neil Williamson's comment, any definitive idea about when these corridor specific guidelines might come back?
I do not have a specific date for you. We are still working on the replacing the photos. That's the primary thing that's left, and I expect that that will continue through the summer.
So fall at the earliest is what I'm hearing.
That is my guess.
Thanks.
Okay, there are no other business items. The next ARB meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 15th, 2026. I will not be able to attend that one, but is there anyone else who
I'm
doesn't think they'll
planning
be
to
able to?
attend.
I'm not able to attend that one.
I'm planning to attend.
Okay, so it sounds like we will have a quorum. If any of that changes, please let me know as soon as possible.
Do we have how many items do we have?
Possibly 3 work sessions.
Okay. In that case, this meeting is adjourned until the next meeting on Monday, June 15th, 2026, and it is 2:08 by my watch. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.